Okay, so hello everyone. We've given it a couple of minutes for people to join in. Welcome to the session. I am Mireia Manent. I'm the KALEIDOS project coordinator and one of the partners at WeDo, the coordinating entity. And we are here for the last webinar connected to the network of professionals. So a warm welcome to everybody. We will have today a session in which we will briefly present to you one of the key outcomes of the project, the KALEIDOS Toolkit, which is a compilation of resources and tools that we have brought together that we are very happy to have in its final phase of development. So I will be presenting you that, and then we will have a session by Silvia Poli from the University of Bologna, which is one of the partners in KALEIDOS, who will be sharing the work connected to some of the workshops and the meetings we have been developing in the project, bringing together stakeholders in the ecosystem to jointly develop strategies and recommendations. So the session today is going to be pretty intense. I hope you're ready and you have your coffees and your water with you with this warm weather. We will end with a Q&A. And we are about to start with the presentations. So as I was mentioning, the first session, the first part of this session is going to be focused on presenting you once more. Apologies to those who have already heard the story from KALEIDOS, but I will briefly present the project once again, and then I will be introducing you the project toolkit, which is a resource focused on universities and research-based organizations of any type to help you adopt a systemic vision for knowledge valorization. So just to recap on what KALEIDOS is a 30-month coordination and support action funded by the European Commission with a small consortium of institutions and one associated entity working together to enhance knowledge valorization practices with a systemic view. And with this, what we mean is we brought together quadruple helix actors, which is academia, industry, civil society, and public administration, alongside the universities or research centers, to actually convert or turn the knowledge generated in these research settings into solutions that are relevant or that address challenges that are relevant in the ecosystems in which they are located. Of course, this can be translated to different ecosystems and to collaborating ecosystems, but it was the focus of the project, and we tried to develop tools and resources that are relevant after the project life. In our context, research and innovation managers have a critical role as facilitators because we see them as knowledge valorization intermediaries who basically help bring the different actors in the ecosystem together and work jointly for bringing value to this knowledge generated. So in this sense, what we are doing is we are trying to not to give a central role to the researchers, but actually, to the managers, but actually have them as a pivotal part facilitating the interplay of the different actors and engaging them in activities in which they all participate and engage and exchange to actually push forward knowledge valorization practices. If we recap what the impact of the project was, what were our goals in terms of making a difference, we had four main areas. So we focused on organizational transformation. And for that, we have worked together in having tools to develop action plans at the university setting that allow aligning the strategic layer of the university governance with the actual implementation of those knowledge valorization practices. And we also have, of course, embedded all the EC current trends and policies and recommendations regarding stakeholder engagement, open science, and knowledge valorization in those tools and in those strategic aspects. We have brought, as I mentioned, a systemic approach, which basically means that we aim at engaging all actors in the ecosystem, not leaving anyone behind, and with the ultimate objective of having long-lasting relationships, long-lasting interactions that enable the sustaining of this systemic approach at the ecosystem level. And for that, in the project, we have developed on one side the characterization of what we think are the skills and capacities of both managers and researchers to work with this systemic approach, to facilitate on the one hand for the managers and to participate and engage for the researchers in those activities and make the most out of them so that they can implement them throughout the research agenda in their institutions. And of course, we focused on building a network, which we hope is relevant and useful for the professionals engaged in the project, but that we aim is going to go beyond the project length. And finally, and that is connected with the presentation we will have later on, we have also been working on mapping the relevant policies, as I said, that we needed to embed in our project, but also working with the ecosystems on identifying recommendations, suggestions, or needs in terms of policy that are relevant to put forward and to bring to the European Commission for contributing to the policy discussions that are currently happening at the national and European levels. So with all this in mind, we have been working for more than 2 years in the project, and we have, together with the organizations in the consortium, identified, enhanced, and organized, as I said, best practices on knowledge valorization in a comprehensive toolkit with a systemic approach. And this toolkit has been implemented in the 4 different ecosystems of the consortium that are located in Italy, Sweden, Spain, and France throughout the development of the toolkit. So they have been implemented as we go to really refine and enhance the tools that we have included. And we have also implemented capacity building activities, participative workshops, policy workshops, and we are currently finalizing the action plans development at the 4 settings. And one main aspect that is currently ongoing in the project is the piloting phase of the toolkit for refinement and improvement before launching towards the end of the project, and also the final policy work that is happening to push forward the recommendations as mentioned. So with all this work ongoing, today we want to take the opportunity to bring to you how is the toolkit looking in its current version, and what are the possibilities that it has for those who decide to use it or implement it during the project life, if still possible, or in the project afterlife. So as mentioned, this is a compilation of the tools we have been refining and enhancing. So you can have methodologies for institutional change and for aligning the organizational policy and strategy with the actual implementation of the toolkit. But also you can assess where you are in terms of organization. So there is a self-assessment possibility at the organization level, but also on the individual level of researchers and managers. And I'll tell you a bit more later on. You also can have access to identification of capacity building trainings or activities to enhance the profiles of the professionals that you engage at the organizational level. And also, of course, you have resources to enable the connection with the stakeholders in the ecosystem and the generation of participative activities with them to define challenges or design together potential solutions for those challenges that are in need of this knowledge generated. And of course, strengthening all your capacity in terms of sharing and valorizing the knowledge generated in the organization. So with this in mind, we have developed an online toolkit, which is comprehensive and should be self-sustained after project life, where we have brought together all the resources that we have developed during the project duration. And that is structured in a series of sections. This is the homepage. Currently, it's not public yet. But if what you see is interesting for your organization, or you would like to test or pilot some part of the toolkit, of course, you can always get in touch with us, with me personally, or with the project partners, and we will try to engage with you as soon as possible to facilitate this testing or this access to the parts of the toolkit that you think might be useful and relevant for you to pilot in the next weeks or months. So this is just the toolkit at a glance. this is the overview of the current content. It's not all the content we're working on, it's almost all the content we have, but it is mostly what we are currently working to pilot and enhance. So if you access the toolkit, you will have an initial section in which you will have all the information of what the toolkit is, why we have developed it, for whom it is relevant, how we suggest to use it, although there is some freedom in the way you can use it once you have assessed what your needs in terms of institutional needs are and what are the relevant pieces of the toolkit that you would like to use. But of course, we have an initial suggestion for you to implement it, and also the background of the development of this toolkit and the kind of the conceptual framework that is behind it. The toolkit is divided in three main sections. There's one section for self-assessment. As I mentioned before, you can have the self-assessment for the knowledge valorization of your organization. Where is your organization in terms of knowledge valorization practices? But you also have self-assessment resources for both managers and researchers for in line with all the activities that are happening at the EU level and in connection with the already existing other resources. We facilitate you access to have a self-assessment of where you are in terms of skills and competences, and what would be of your interest to improve or enhance through trainings or access to resources, etc. So this is the first section on self-assessment. Then we have the section on participative challenge identification, which is mainly focused on content related with network construction, network building, network enhancement at the ecosystem level. So how to best connect with the actors that are present in the university or research center ecosystem. Then we also have the capacity building resources for the facilitators, as mentioned earlier, mainly the managers, who are those acting as knowledge valorization intermediate at the university or research center organizations. And then we also have all the resources to help you organize and plan and implement a participative challenge identification workshop with your ecosystem actors for the identification of those situation challenges or problems in the ecosystem that would benefit from a multidisciplinary approach based on the knowledge generated in the university for a solution. So this is the second big chunk of information. And the third one is the one focused on finding solutions, co-creating solutions for those challenges together, again, with, of course, main contribution from researchers, but not only researchers, but also in collaboration with the actors in the ecosystem. So here we focus on how to enable or enhance the construction or the organization of multidisciplinary teams of researchers for addressing those challenges. And then, of course, we also provide resources to enhance their skills and capabilities to work in this kind of systemic approach, as mentioned, and be best prepared to interact with the ecosystem actors for brainstorming or creating solutions together. And then we have the ideas generation process or program in which they work together to actually design and conceptualize those solutions. And then we also have a set of recommendations. What you don't see here yet that will be coming is the part connecting with the policy recommendations development, which will be partly presented today by Silvia Poli, and also all the impact measurement sections that are going to be coming that should help users of the toolkit actually measure the impact of the implemented activities in real life in their ecosystem with relevant kind of resources for them to assess and enhance these activities to have a major or greater impact in the future. So this is still work in progress, is coming, but for now we are piloting those aspects. Still, if you see this, it might be difficult to imagine or visualize what each section will contain. So basically, we have created a short clip in which you can see what is per section. So as I said, I showed you as a glance the structure. We go here to the section of the self-assessment tool. And if we enter in one of these sections, you see that you have some written content to explain, but you also have some visual resources. And then for each section, you have the main objectives that we want to attain with this resource. You have also relevant audiovisual resources explaining the process and how we have implemented in Kaleidos and some testimonials. We also highlight the actors involved, and we also provide you information of who they should be. We provide you a checklist of what you need to actually implement this part of the toolkit in case it is connected with the implementation of other sections of the toolkit. And we also provide information on impact assessment. As I said, this is still growing. But we give you also relevant resources on how to do that, and also the connection with policy if relevant. These supporting documents are going to be labeled as actual tools, because those are the tools that you can download and use to actually undertake the activity or implement the suggested actions in the section. So this is the look and feel of the toolkit. All the sections of the toolkit have this kind of structure and all have all this content for you to check and the downloadable resources for you to use in your organization. And with that, I conclude. We will leave the questions for the end of the session, because we think it's relevant that we connect the presentation that I gave you with the work that is ongoing at the project level and that Silvia will be presenting. So without further ado, I will connect you with Silvia Poli, a research fellow at the Department of Management at the University of Bologna, for her presentation on the workshop design as a tool for ecosystem collaboration. Thank you, Silvia, for joining, and please, the floor is yours.